Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Art of the Beholder, a show dedicated to all things eclectic in the world of art. I'm your host, Novo, and today we're going to be talking about art in literature by talking with author, journalist, and futurist, Mr. Tybalt Nielson. Now, before retiring in 2021, Mr. Nielson had a decades-long career as a freelance writer, a journalist, and most famously, as you may know him, a novelist, usually focusing on grounded science fiction, familial struggles, and a genre he helped coin and create known as super hyper realism, sometimes called just neo-nonfiction fiction, which would often blur the lines between the very real, the very surreal, and just plain fiction. He's won a number of awards throughout his career, including a National Book Award, a Hugo, and a Lifetime Achievement Award. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with him to talk shop. So please, guys, give a warm welcome to Mr. Tybalt Nielson. Thanks for sitting down with us, sir. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I can hear you smiling.
Yes, I'm so excited today. Now, usually, I'm not sure if you've heard our other interviews, but I usually like to start by giving our listeners a little background by hearing about your roots, how you got started, got into the industry, all of those things. But I think actually we need to start with, I think we'll get there by, okay, I think we need to address a little bit of an elephant in the room first, and that is I'm not actually sure if people realize that you're a real person.
Yeah. No. I'm very much real as far as I've checked. And I think a lot of it has to do with the entropy sessions.
Yeah.
Like you said, because with that one, I changed my name. Yet again for the piece. And as you know, of all people, I've done this throughout my career, pretty much a majority of it. For the people listening that don't know, what I usually do is I use a different last name for novels and like initials for freelance work. So it's far from the first time that I've ever heard that.
Yeah, but this, it's crazy to me because I mean, Jesus, surely you still get recognized from time to time, like when you make the rounds to promote your work, for example.
Yeah, I'm sure. Older fans definitely still recognize me. The younger circles, a lot of them think I'm just like they think I'm this character. They think I'm
yeah.
just the guy from the novel or something like I'm obsessed with him or something, which I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, yeah, I guess looking at it that way, my career has really come around like full circle. It's just something I do. A lot of us do.
Right.
I wasn't the first and I won't be the last. It's just like since I can remember, like as a little boy, I loved playing with language and titles, you name it, just kind of reinventing myself around these projects.
This may actually be a big reveal to a lot of people. Not me, obviously not me, but for the good people listening, tell them what is your real name?
Oh, yeah, it's actually Wozniak, just like the Apple guy, Tybalt Wozniak, and just I don't know, it's don't get me wrong, like it's a fine last name, no disrespect to the other Wozniaks out there. It just doesn't, have that flow for me. Doesn't have like a ring to it. Tybalt Wozniak, I don't know, it's clunky. So I changed it. I changed it one day, and then after that, I enjoyed it. I just kept doing it. And I played with it a lot, like different versions of my name. Like the earlier on you go, like the more there were, and
Like
so
the surnames, yeah.
yeah, I played it with it so much. There was like Monroe, Powers, Wild, actually. Like that specifically reminds me too that I was just reading. Funny you should mention this. Kind of random, but surely you're familiar with an actress who has dipped her toes into directing, Miss Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde, of course. We love her. Very very easy on the eyes, that one as well.
Yeah. That's a way to put it. Easy on the eyes. Well, so yeah. Back to her last name though.
Yeah.
Did you know it's not actually Wilde?
I didn't. What is it?
It's Olivia Cockburn.
Cockburn. I can see why she changed it.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't have quite the ring.
The
It's
same
not exactly
ring, yeah.
stage worthy. I don't know why I'm fascinated by this. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't learn this until way down the road, but even my favorite author had a pseudonym, and no one ever realized it. Well, that was the beauty of it because it sounded like a regular name, like people didn't question Tybalt Nielson. So people didn't question them. It's authenticity, anything. So he really fooled us all in the end. Given his work, it makes sense.
Okay, okay. So I'm gonna bite. I gotta ask who is this mystery author then?
It's George Orwell.
Wait, like 1984
Animal
Animal
Farm,
Farm George
George
Orwell?
Orwell. Yeah, that George Orwell. That's is a pen name. Do you know what his real name was? Eric Arthur Blair.
Eric Arthur. Well, shit. I guess I learn something new every day. I bet, actually, honestly, I bet a lot of people listening right now probably are hearing this for the first time as well. But let's, Mr. Nielsen, Mr. Tybalt Nielsen, let's get back to you. Let's do a Novo pullback because what I realize when I think about those things is that the difference between someone like them and you, though, is that you kept changing. You kept evolving. You kept reinventing yourself with your identity. So we got to ask, why keep reinventing yourself?
Oh, that's a really good question. And, honestly, a lot of it had to do with, like, how I grew up.
Yeah.
I was bullied. Honestly, I was
Um,
bullied
I'm
growing up,
sorry to hear that.
and, I mean, it happens, kids are kids.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, with a name like Wozniak, it just sounds funny, my real last name is just not kid friendly, and they can be,
Kids can be so cruel, kind of thing.
yeah, and, they could rhyme the "nyack" part with, like crack or whack and just what anything to make fun of me.
Yeah.
And they did this relentlessly, like, just years of this in school. So,
I was bullied too. I feel your pain there, buddy.
I feel like most of us artists were probably bullied. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, it was a way for me to get away from that. And I
Yeah.
was tired of that name. I didn't enjoy it or the teasing, and I just didn't feel like that kid. I wasn't that kid anymore. And now I'm this grown up. I'm a man, and I just, I got older, and then I thought, why is it only like, certain people like that get to do this, like, why do they get to do it so much? Why can't I? I'm an artist too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna take it, and I did. I took it. I played with the conventions, and, yeah, I mean, just like even with my career as a whole, it kind of really aligned with me that I was, I was here to break some rules.
And that you did, sir. So then why the name Nielsen?
It was partly because of the entropy sessions, but like a lot of names and monikers, it just like I don't know, kind of like it just grew on me. Of
Yeah.
all the ones that I'd picked, it felt the best, so I kept it. At least for now. We'll see.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, for sessions, it was when I was helping like to write it and develop it. I started adding in like the science fiction elements, like the NCL neurological communication link, and I started to think of a name that would fit the character version of me, and then like before there were smartphones, like definitely like before they took over our lives. Um, there was Nielsen. There's this
Mm.
Nielsen Rating Academy. Again, I feel like most people probably don't know or care anymore.
Mhm.
Just it was called Nielsen Ratings. It was huge for the longest time.
Yeah.
In my house growing up, like we had their monitoring equipment. Like it's a staple for me. And it was just kind of it was the first of its kind as far as I recall. Like on that scale, right? Of like analytical like data. It's kind of the first data mining.
Right.
And that that just like led me to like examine habits, like how they examined habits of the systems. Um, it was literally just TVs, and yet they could do so much with it. So I felt like I also had I had the clay right in my hands. I wanted to play with it too, and it just the more I played with it, it felt fitting for the character and character version of me, I should say, that he should have this same name. So just kind of stuck, stuck in the past, fearful of the future, kind of thing. Something is probably still recording him all this time, looking for all that data on him, just like the Nielsen ratings did when I was a kid. So, I did change a little bit. I changed it from SEN to SON. I didn't steal it directly, but I just put a little bit of artist flair on it, and here we are.
Here we are. Okay, so then on the other end of that spectrum, why not ever change your first name? Tybalt.
I don't know, actually. I've always really liked Tybalt. That's why. It's, I guess it's simple as that. Like, it's unique, it's not off-putting. Um, it's just nice and, like, it's just punchy and even shortened, you can just go by I went by Ty.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, I started going by Ty when I was really sick of the teasing. It kind of helped, and I think they started to leave me alone more at that point. Like, I decided I flipped that switch, and I became, like, little Ty Wozniak.
I like that little Ty Wozniak.
Little Ty.
So how was life growing up for little Ty Wozniak?
I made it through, you know? Um,
You made it. You're
yeah,
talking to
the bullying
talking
wasn't
with us today.
yeah, the bullying wasn't too horrible. I got through it. It got better as I got older, and I definitely found refuge in writing, like, that really helped offset a lot of, the negativity, and so I would say I attribute a lot of that, to, like, the name thing, but I honestly, I have to attribute a lot of it to my mom's doing as well.
Why's that?
Okay, so
Yeah,
before
take me
I
back. Let's
yeah,
back
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this is we're gonna really get into this. So, before I was even born, for a large part, like, my mom was a part-time English teacher,
Okay.
and she taught the
That makes
classics
sense.
and creative writing, right? So you see where I'm going. So, yeah.
Yep,
So
making a
that
lot more sense now.
you
Yeah.
that was the seed. You know exactly where I'm going. So, you've put the 2 and 2 together. That's why she named me Tybalt from
There we
Romeo and
go.
Juliet,
Okay.
which, by the way, I liked your episode about that.
Thank you.
And, I don't know that my dad had too much input there. Poor guy.
Yo, yeah. How was dad growing up? Was he really like how he was in your books?
Um, no, no. Actually, the military stuff, that was for the story. Like, the
Okay.
beats were true, like, again, like, mom was the glue, like, dad was hard, but fair, and he was the kinda guy, he wore a suit and tie to work every day.
Hmm.
And he would drink a lot when he got home. That's just, I felt like, now looking back, it feels like that was, so he just accepted it. That was, dad came home and had some beers, but
Different time too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so in retrospect, it was a problem, but, back at that, we didn't talk about it, and my parents' generation, like, they just didn't have all the resources and the info we have, so, yeah, I mean, he wasn't like, that was his medicine, like, there wasn't any
Sure.
other medications around, it just wasn't the age of medication, so he wasn't gonna see a therapist, he was a man's man, he just wouldn't talk, he just didn't really talk about it, so, again, they did their best. They did their best, don't get me wrong, like, I feel like like, when you really weigh it all out, I was one of the lucky ones, like,
Yeah.
they were great. They were great to me, like, God rest their souls.
I gotta ask, while we're talking family, how's your wife these days, Tibble?
No, Julie's good. Julie's real
Julie's
good,
good.
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Julie's good,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, good.
We're both a lot better. Thank you for asking. And actually, speaking of, like, what we have now, we're actually still seeing our therapist, and a couples counselor,
All right.
but we're making it. Like, one day at a time. We really are. We're better than, like, last we checked in. So, yeah, we're happy. Thank you. Yeah.
And your kids then?
Oh, they're good. They're
Good.
great. Son's just graduated from grad school. He got the bug. He's gonna try the writing thing for a while, and
Oh,
I'm so happy. I'm so
okay,
happy
good.
for him.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trust me, it's okay. He seems like he loves it.
Okay, good.
That's the
Yeah.
thing, is it doesn't seem like it's for me. It is for him. So I could not be happier. And he's really good. Oh my god, he's Novo. He's really good. Yeah, obviously, he's probably gonna hear this. He
Yeah, he's
might be
probably
right
gonna hear
outside the
this, yeah.
room. I just whatever. But God, the kid has potential. There's so much promise there. I think he's gonna be just fine. Daughter, on the other hand, is a little more, let's nicely say, figuring things out. She's in
Okay.
Europe right now, studying abroad, so she'll be home eventually. I think a few more months. I'd have to check my calendar, but she's finding herself out there. So, she'll get there.
She'll get there. Okay, I'll read between the lines. So that means let's switch gears. Let's talk inspiration for a little bit because I do this. I like to talk shop here with my interviews because with every artist, there's always that person, that act, that thing that just makes them go, oh my God, I want to do that. So tell me, Mr. Nielsen, what's yours?
I mean, I kind of already talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's Orwell for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, 1984 was like cataclysmic for me in a way. That was like a
How
life
so?
changer. Well, just yeah, I mean, he made me like think about things so differently. All of it, like just even just down to the 2 + 2 = 5 bit. Like there's theories in there, and they just changed me. I don't know. Like it's hard to explain.
Hmm.
Like how every little thing, was now open, all the way up to the
Hmm.
biggest thing. It's just everything was suddenly somehow, like, new again, and then,
Hmm.
like, even, like, right there in the middle, there's me, and I was just reevaluating, like, everything after that, and it just I don't know, I feel like I stopped taking things for granted so much, like, I never took anything at face value either. Like, and that's that like I said, it changed me in so many ways, and after that, I couldn't look at anything the same.
How old were you then?
Oh, maybe 17?
Hmm. Sounds sounds a lot like the Tybalt from your book. At least, I mean, at least the opening.
No,
So,
not based on me. We're kind of the same in a way.
technically, yes.
Yeah,
So,
so,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would like, I don't know, I guess the main takeaway is, like, right after that, that is when I, really, like, took writing seriously, like, it wasn't just a dream.
This was the line in the sand. Like this was
Yeah,
the turning point.
yeah, I mean, again, it really changed me. It gave me purpose, I would say, like, that's the big thing is everyone's looking for something, and I that helped me find it. So I found my purpose, and I just wrote. I wrote a lot after that, and that's, I didn't wanna stop because I knew that I would capture something, just like how that happened, like, you know it's out there, and you're not gonna stop.
And I would say a lot of people would argue that you found that thing, that you did it.
I hope so.
Take me through that. Like, how do you get there? I like to tell the story of an artist's career through their work, their craft, their art, their medium. So let's start with your process first. How do you develop? How do you develop these things? Like, how do you come up with your ideas?
Well, it always, starts with a muse.
A muse, huh?
Yeah, I know it kinda comes off as silly, but yeah, a muse, like my muse, if you wanna call it that, it's essentially just any idea that I can't get out of my head. I become obsessed with it. But again, there's ideas that just they have meat on them for something really good, like just a really solid story, and then, I sit down, like, immediately, there's a fire, and I just start typing. I type, and, from there, like, the only typical or I guess maybe, like, stereotypical thing that I do, like, I have to do this every time, is, I write an outline. I sit down again, the first thing is I make myself a map. I map out the story. I get the beats, beginning to end, whole thing, right? But then, here's the catch. When you get going, and I'm talking again, like, when you just the wheels are beyond greased, you're going, you're
Yeah.
in the process, and it goes in a different direction than I originally intended.
Hmm.
It ends up s yeah, yeah, it ends up somewhere that, like, I feel like you know what I'm talking about, right? That it goes somewhere that it wasn't what I thought.
Hmm. Why? Why is that? Do you think?
You know, I think it's because every story takes on, like, a life of its own,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
when you've got yeah, you've got good characters, you've got a good plot, um, those things become real in your head.
Yeah.
It's not as abstract, like, because at first it's very abstract to think about, like,
Yeah.
I get that, like, the first thing you're just like, "Oh, I'm making up people and names," but then you start to flesh out the character, and you really start, like, writing it, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you're like, things like, "Oh, they wouldn't say that, they wouldn't do that," and again, it's like they're a friend, it's like you know them, it's like you just know what would be real in the context.
But they are real in the story.
Yes, yeah, 100%, of course, and I guess that's the thing is, like, when they become real, that will reshape the story, and so, after they become who they were meant to become in it, then you kind of start letting the story shift a little bit so that they stay the same, and it's the characters that give you the continuity and really, like, bring the story home.
What comes next then?
Well, what do you mean, like, in the process?
Yeah, like your process. Yeah.
I just start titling chapters. I just start coming up with names.
You title the
Um,
chapter.
yeah,
Simple.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll just take a main bullet point from my outline. Like in the very top, where like sort of like the highest level ideas are for chapters, especially when they were fresh in my mind, and then I just kind of focus my thoughts in. I'll conjure the scene as best I can, and I write what my brain is showing me. And if the chapter's, like, really complicated, for instance, I'll do, like, an outline just for that one,
Yeah.
by itself because again, some of the chapters are very meaty, some of them are far more exposition, so I'll map out everything that needs mapping. I'll just map it out, whether it's a scene, multiple scenes, a whole chapter, but I stick with the formula.
Let's I want to talk dialogue for a second because it's clear to me that this is definitely an area where you place just a lot a lot of emphasis. So how do you approach writing, your kind of dialogue?
Oh, I actually method act.
Yeah?
Yeah, I act it. I say it out loud. I act it out, every part,
Every part.
every part out loud,
Huh.
and then I just write it. Essentially, I just write the conversation that I'm having with myself.
With your
Yeah, and I feel like a loon, and then
Yeah.
I try to but I'm still trying to make it as real as possible, and that way the reader really feels, when he or she is, got that, like, omnipotence, that, like, fly on the wall
Sure.
aspect, and,
Sure.
just and if it doesn't read well, then, that's why we get editors.
That's actually a good segue. How does that dynamic then play out? Like when, like with you and your editor, so you've fleshed out, let's say a full scene, and then you have to like put it into the hands of the editor. How does that, yeah, how does the editing process kind of get fleshed out there?
That's almost better asked to them. It reels me in. I don't know
Okay.
what to tell you. It just helps me simplify. It just refocuses my efforts.
Okay. Okay. Then what happens next then?
Then I write some more, and I write, and then I'll write, and then I'll write,
Then
and then
write,
I
and then
rewrite,
write, and then you
then
write some
and
more
then I write, yeah, and then I don't stop writing.
until like you're finished with like a brand new manuscript
Yeah,
one day,
that's
right?
basically I don't stop until it's done. Right.
That's a good segue to like, okay, let's talk about your books. So now Tybalt, this took me for, oh my god, fucking forever. Because I didn't know exactly what to focus on in your catalog. I still actually don't know exactly what to focus on, to be honest. But
I'll take that as a compliment.
yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to talk about your early humble beginnings, the middle body, towards the end. I just didn't know where to start because there's a lot of great work in there. I mean, there really is.
Thank you.
And I urge the listeners to read it all, guys. Let's do our plug right now. Read everything in his body of work. But today I thought it would just be easier to let's just focus on your latest piece, which is of course the Entropy Sessions, our little collaboration, and what you have dubbed, this may be new to a lot of people listening right now, most likely your last book. That this is officially, people are saying, and I think I've heard you actually say it in a different interview, that this may be retirement. Is that correct?
God willing, it is. Yeah, that's correct. I hope so.
So let's let's start with what the story means first, then, for a lot of maybe lay listeners that are new to your catalog or haven't read TES yet, because it's been called a memoir, it's been called an autobiography, it's a lot of different things, right? But at its core, what is so fascinating to me is it's still a novel. It's still just a work of fiction. So I gotta ask, why do it this way at all? Why not just write an actual memoir or an actual autobiography about, your actual life?
Good question.
Thank you.
We just do it. We just do it our own way sometimes, Nova,
Right.
I guess like the name thing jumps right back to mind. We like to tell our stories, like and stories of our lives. Like that's what the craft is for. And that's really the only thing that's for me, that's the only thing that gets me in life sometimes is like the medium. And I guess like the, let's look at it this way. Like here,
Okay.
let's use a different artist.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like Van Gogh, give Van Gogh for instance.
Okay.
Um,
Love me some Van Gogh. Yeah, we should
yeah,
show on
right.
him.
I love his art, but I don't really know that much about him. Like in what I do know is, of course, that the things like yes, there was, like I see his self-portraits, right? Like, those again, famous art,
Sure,
everybody's
sure,
seen
sure.
those. I feel like when I look at those, I see his whole life suddenly,
Hmm.
like, it's or I don't know, like, if that makes or something like, like maybe in music, like, I guess, like, Bowie?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like, I'll hear his, like like, I hear his first album, like, to Black Star, and then I'm not hearing music, I'm hearing and that's not just, like, his music, it's him to me. Like, that is Bowie's memoir. His life story is like that.
Like his
Like
music, his
yeah,
catalog.
does that make
Yeah.
sense? So, like
Yeah, okay.
like, what's his name? Somebody else just did, Spielberg. He just did that. Steven Spielberg, he just did, what was that called? He, put out a movie, he was a kid, he was with his parents,
The Fablemans, right?
Fablemans, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, just so like The Fablemans, right? Like, Spielberg wanted to make something about his life, so he did it the only way that he knew how. He made a movie. And then it came my turn, and I just thought, like, what better way to put, like, a fine point on my whole career. I made, of course, a novel.
Well, god damn it. Actually, when you put it that way, it makes perfect sense. But then, so I'm sorry. I gotta put you in the hot seat again. Why structure the narrative like you did then? Why not just start, from the beginning of your life, and why even add the science fiction stuff?
Well, there was a lot of development for Sessions, and when I was really getting through it, it came at a time when I felt like I was just, like, being inundated with, like there was young adult novels, like,
Yeah,
just, like
I
it
remember
just
that
felt like all
that
these things
era.
yeah, it felt like everything was written for children and, like, younger audiences, and, hey, don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with that. There is some
Right.
fantastic YA novels out
They
there.
have that has its place too.
Yeah.
In
Like,
pop culture.
that's yeah, this and then there's pieces on the other end of that spectrum too, like, really, like, not just R, like, practically X-rated stuff? And that was kind of more rare, and that's what I felt like I wanted to do, like, that real high level writing, and I just sought that out. That's I get that, like, a lot of people said it was challenging to read because of how I did it. So, I do want people to know that, like, that was intentional. That was by design.
Okay.
It wasn't meant to be challenging so much as it was just very real for me at the time. And it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. That's fine. Again, it's art. No one likes everything. That is okay. It's supposed to be difficult too. I mean, again, the subject matter. I mean, I've been through some stuff, and it's supposed to be kind of off-putting. It's supposed to be difficult, and it's supposed to be uncomfortable, bizarre even, because that's exactly what life was for me.
Hmm. Why is that, if you don't mind me asking, actually?
Not at all. I feel like I'm an open book. I've kind of, at the end of my book, I guess, in a way, so the whole book needs to stay open. Sessions came at a time when, like I mentioned, the therapy, my marriage was, like, at its lowest, honestly.
I'm
Family
sorry.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's, that's
Life
well,
happens.
yeah, things have
Yeah.
gotten better, so, it's okay, but, my family life, it wasn't great, again, parent stuff, some of it was definitely my fault, like, in the end, I know that now, I had a role in it, and I wasn't always active, and I see that, and I've always I've always been a little more, like, married to, like, my stuff, like, my career, and it just kinda came to a head. I was being a workaholic, which is a blessing and a curse, and at that point, I was just working too much, and if
Mm.
I wasn't working, I was drinking, and I was drinking too much. Not just like, "Oh, haha," like I had a cocktail at lunch, like, it was like I remember my father doing, honestly, like, that like, that's
Mm.
the best way I can put it, and then one
Yeah.
day, Julie had enough. Julie she'd had it, and she had put up with so much, and she gave me an ultimatum.
What happened?
Yeah, she took the kids. She took them and she left, and, God, that was really it, just wake up call.
Yeah.
I needed it. I really needed it, and so right after that, like, immediately, I cleaned up. I cleaned up big, like, across the board, made, so many promises, all of them I intend to keep to this day. We talked it through, we reconciled. That's when we started the therapy again that I mentioned, and, it's the work never stops. Like I said, we're still going to therapy, and, you know what? That's wrong. the work does stop. I stopped writing. That
Yeah.
really that was part of it, is that, again, I was too focused on work, and I needed to be focused on the other things that were important to me. Knowing that writing wouldn't be there for me forever, but that I had this family for my whole life, I wanted to focus on that, you know? That literally that was it. My only one thing left, besides writing, which I knew I had to give up, it was gonna be taken away from me, and so just cold turkey, gave up the drinking, no more writing, and luckily, that was what we needed. We got back together, we came together very strong. We're so fortunate that it all worked out, and honestly, I'm not sure I'm not gonna go back to writing, I don't think,
Hmm.
because I'm not gonna go through that again. I don't want her to go through that, not the kids. I almost lost my family, man. That was awful. It was terrible, and so I'm making sure every day that that's not gonna happen again.
So this is this really is like retirement, retirement.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. This is the real deal.
Oh wow, Jesus! I wasn't expecting the interview to go this way, but then tell me how are things now then?
Oh, things are great now. Things are great. I mean, I've been working on it for years. So yeah, I know you're probably thinking it. I know you. I had to ask for permission at the time to work on sessions to ask, again, if I could write that last one. Things had already been so bad, just one more, I'd be done. She made me promise her that at the time that was it, and that is exactly how, or I guess, or like why, Entropy Sessions was made the way that it was. I don't know. That's why I guess that's why it became like that story. When I was just trying to tell my story, but her leaving me changed everything. Novo, like, equally made everything so clear overnight, like, nearly instantly. The sci-fi stuff, everything like the NCLs, the no name drug addiction, which can mirror my drinking. That all, just kind of like, hold on, I'm gonna go on a quick tangent here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're contractually obligated to do a T-Buck tangent corner every show, so it's okay.
Okay,
Give it
well,
to
that's
us.
I'm glad that works. Is that actually that's that Musk fella? He's to really, like, alter our brains and, like, do the sci-fi, and I feel like he's
He's
steering.
trying to make a real NCL. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's called Neuralink. He's actually doing that right now.
God, that's nuts. That's
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That's insane. It's crazy because, like, I wrote that as science fiction back in the day, but yeah, whatever. It's a conversation for another time. We can talk about this offline. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, again, like with as far as my process goes, again, with like sessions, like, started with the outline. It became its own thing. It came to life. It became so much more different. By the time the novel was finished, it just evolved so much. And it was still a story about my life, but like in a way, it kind of begged the question, like, who are we? Like, who we are, like, to each other, and what we're willing to face, like when we're faced with something like the loss of something so important, the loss of something so profound that, like, we're not even sure we could go on if we didn't have it.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, man.
Yeah, it's powerful. That's an understatement, but yeah, very powerful.
But hearing that, I find it interesting to hear that your real life story ended up how should how should I put it? With what we could call something akin to like a happy ending, whereas the Tybalt at the end of our novel had a much different
A little
fate. It's
different.
probably a nice way to put it. I don't want to give any spoilers. We're probably going into spoilers territory here pretty soon, but let's just say that I'm not so sure we can say that his ending was all too happy. So then, yeah, let's go ahead and go into spoilers. Maybe you can clarify a little something for
It's
us.
been a long enough. Let's get in it.
What does happen to Tybalt at the end of his story, and why is it so different than yours? So yeah, yeah, guys, spoilers here from here on out.
Oh god, I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote it to I just kinda, like, that's how I wrote it, I guess.
Oh,
Tybalt in the story, couldn't seem to get out of his, like, he was kinda stuck in a loop, right?
yeah.
And, like, what that means, though, depends on, like, the reader, the each person reading it. Is
Touche,
gonna
yes.
yeah, like, they've got their own loops that they may or may not know that they're stuck in, and that's, probably not the answer you wanted, or that's not gonna comfort anybody, but,
Come
I mean,
on, man, give us the
it's the
deets.
truth, though, it's the truth. I really don't know. I myself, like, I think about it from time to time. Again, he's my namesake. I
No
think about the
shit.
end of that story, yeah, and, I mean, I kinda go back and forth myself. I tell myself, like, like, what really happened to him after that last scene? Like, did he
Like, you don't even know,
I
it
don't.
sounds
I
like.
really don't. I don't know. But I mean, everyone that I talk to, everyone with friends, family, fans, all of it, they have their own thoughts, and it's great. I love hearing what other people think about it, and there's been some amazing theories. I tell you, like that's kind of, I guess, in a way, like that's the point of it all.
Huh. I guess we'll just leave it at that then. Guys, give it a read, give it a listen, and tell us what you think. Leave it in the comments. So we've answered the what and the why, but now I want to hear about the how. Like, so how did this come to be? Like, why put it out this way at all? Even.
What do you mean, like under the Novo Day
Yeah,
banner?
like under our banner, like why not just distribute it through like your publisher and release it under your usual pen name like you always do with your other novels.
Probably, well, more exactly, why Spielberg called his film The Fablemans and not The Spielbergs, Like,
Yeah, okay.
I feel like, just to go back to that example, I wanted to, like, separate myself from the work in a way, and it eventually made, like, a lot of sense after we met. Things really started to develop. I mean, I don't know, I remember when I met you, like, Nova, like, the first time at that original, like, writing workshop, and I was hearing you talk about the stuff that you wanted to make, and I thought, like, this would be perfect, like, for you. And, I wanted you to know, like, what, I wanted you to share this with me. And so, like, for your first, like, formal outing, and, like, what is now my
Yeah,
last.
your last, yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess, just to me, it was just the stars aligned, and I felt like it was the perfect passing of the torch.
I will never actually forget that moment. It was like yesterday. I was actually showing you a piece I was working on. I was pretty far into it, and you just saying, "Wait, Nova, put a pause on that because I have something to show you." And show me you did, and then yeah, I couldn't say no. But as much as there was, yeah, it was a team effort. Like I like to say, it was our little collaboration. This
Yeah.
this piece, of course, was still largely yours. It was your life, your memoir, your semi autobiography, whatever you want to call it. And that's exactly why I kept saying and like asking, really, like put it. You got to put this out
Yeah,
under your own
yeah,
name.
put it in your name. Yeah, it was you were insistent on that. You
I
said,
was I
you're
was
like,
kind of badgering you
it's
for a
gotta be
while.
your
Yeah.
name." Yeah. I mean, I don't listen, like, we were finally finished, and I'm not just saying this. Like, this is how I really, like, feel. Like, it wasn't mine anymore,
Hmm.
like, in the best way, Like, I knew that it was gonna be my last piece, and so it wasn't, like, mine anymore after that. Like, it would eventually just belong to everybody. It would be the world's, everyone else's, and I think I just needed to, like, separate myself from it.
Hmm.
I guess, like, yeah, end that chapter of my life, by, doing it that way, of just handing it off, of just knowing that, like, it's out of my hands. I'm done.
Well, I guess on behalf of the world, thank you, thank you. We thank you for that. Now this is usually the time in the interview when I ask, what are you working on now? Like, let's plug your new thing. But what's on the horizon? But we, again, spoilers, guys. We already know what that is because there's nothing on the horizon. Sessions
Yeah.
was your last
That was
was your last
last
piece.
one. That was it.
Yeah,
There's
just
nothing.
like that, huh?
No more big works coming from this guy.
So you know what I have to ask now, right? I mean, you have plenty of contemporaries, colleagues that are still writing at your age, and plenty take a hiatus. We get it, but eventually they kind of come back to the fray. Some even come out of retirement completely when that muse hits again. So, do you think there'll ever be another piece by the great Ty Wozniak ever
No,
again?
no. No, no, it's it. This is it. And honestly, here's why. Because I feel like, in a way, like, I kind of did it all. Like, the is what I wanted. Like, in my career, like, with that profession that I had dreamed of before even making it real. It gave me so much. It gave me a lot. It really did. And there's the only one thing that it can't give me anymore, which is time. And again, I almost lost time with my family, and as the only thing that I will never get more of, I'm going to use the time that I have left to spend it with my family.
Well, God, I can't argue with that. That's a very good answer.
You'd
Very,
lose that. You'd lose that argument.
very, very admirable of you. So then, at least do us the pleasure of painting us, a picture of that. Like, what do you think retirement's going to look like?
Oh god, sleeping in. So much sleeping in finally. God, and then hey, waking up next to my wife because God, that smile, I can see it. It's my favorite thing to wake up to, knowing that when I rolled towards her, I that pressure stopping me at my dog at my feet. Right after that, the coffee, delicious fresh black coffee, sitting on our porch, drinking it in the shade, or maybe even the rain. Just sitting outside, just enjoying nature, the soft touch of her hand. It's the best thing. Just, cooking meals, visits from the kids, looking forward to grandkids. I want them to grow up. I want them to prosper. I hope they find love. And I guess just being for them, like the dad that they need, being there and supporting them.
Well, God damn, that sounds lovely. That just sounds lovely.
I heard recently a nice quote that I really enjoyed, which was be the adult that you needed.
But God, I can't stop thinking about this. I feel like there's gonna be that day when you get that itch again, Tybalt. Like when that muse hits and it won't stop asking for you to make something new. I mean, like, what are you gonna do then?
I'm gonna tell it the same thing that I told you.
But then, but come on, who's gonna write the final chapters of your life? I mean, the golden years after retirement. Someone's gonna need to fill in the rest of like your story. Shouldn't that be you? I mean, shouldn't you be the one to finish your story?
Should it? I mean, there's got to be a next generation. Like somebody else needs that opportunity more than I do.
Elaborate. Like, how do you mean?
I have written so much, and I know that I don't need to write that part.
Why?
Kind of feel like we both know that you're gonna do that.
Oh, well, all right. Well, I can't argue with that either. So, with that being said, Mr. Wozniak, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today. We really appreciate it.
Nova, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Now, before we get out of here, let's tell the good people how do they check out your already existing body of work?
Yeah, yeah. You can always go to my website, of course. It's, the modern digital age. It's tybalttheauthor.com. I'm sure there's other links, like what social media, look up my books. There's probably links there. Yeah, okay. So yeah, my agent's nodding. That's correct. It's social media or
Yeah,
tybalttheauthor.com.
he's giving you
So
the look.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, you'll find everything you need on there. Just check out the socials, go to the website. What's the ads?
Don't worry, we'll pop
You got it.
your details in the show
Okay.
notes. Don't worry,
Okay.
buddy.
Yeah, honestly, that's it. If specifically, so we've talked about it a lot. I feel like it's a good highlight. So entropy sessions. You can go through your website as you know. You've got it well linked on there, novodayproductions.com.
We should also tell the good people, you can also order the audiobook version through Audible.
Yeah, again, that's what I love. Amazon's pretty cool. They've got both versions. So yeah, check out their that website. Go to Amazon, whether you like paper or digital. That's God, I don't know. I'm bad at this. I'm bad at this part, man. Come on. Why'd you put me on the spot for this? I'm anti-tech.
We got to put everybody on the spot a little bit in our
I
interviews
know,
and
I
our
know.
shows.
But
Yeah.
again, luckily, thank God for agents. Thank God for management
I
teams.
know.
Especially now that I'm retired, I don't know what I would do without them.
We love our producers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. What's your producer's name? Who's that? Who's your?
Our producer's Clayton Anderson. Yeah. He's been
That's
with us
right.
from the
That's right.
beginning.
And then there's another name from the book. It's escaping me, and I.
Oh, the audiobook that Philip Church, actually, philipchurch.tech. He's actually
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, he's actually a pretty regular around here now. At our
Yeah,
show, Art of the
yeah.
Beholder.
He did the Romeo and Juliet episode, which again I enjoyed. I really like that one. So
Yeah.
yeah, again, Philip, wherever you are, thank you. I think he did a great job. Honestly, I was pretty happy with the end product.
We were too, actually, and it's I have to say, it's actually uncanny how much you two sound alike. I know he studied your voice for the audiobook, but this is I'll have to ask him sometime, like, did he already sound like you or vice versa, or did he just study your voice so much for the thing that it was just kind of became a part of him after the performance, like that what was his name? Austin Butler from that
Oh,
Elvis
yeah, for
movie.
Elvis. I thought that's why you picked him. I don't know. I was trusting you here. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had to actually do a couple double takes and, like, pinch myself because there was times when I felt like throughout this interview, like, I thought I was talking to him sometimes even. So,
No, it's me. Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, you gotta probably gotta ask him. I'm sure he gets that all the time. And yeah, I don't know. Again, kudos to him. I think he did a great job. I am honored by you telling me that you can't tell us apart. Again, that's I love that about art. I like it when it blends, when fact and fiction become one. Yeah, again, that's kind of like the like my art in a nutshell. And again, you can check it all out. It's all out there. Just beyond entropy sessions, you can always dig deeper and look through my catalog and look at all the other books that I've written throughout my life. It's all on the site.
excellent. Again, guys, you can check out Mr. Tybalt Nielson at tybalttheauthor.com. That's let's spell that for the good people. That's TYBALTTHEAUTHOR.com. I want to thank you guys again for listening. I want to thank my guests for joining us today. And guys, if you like that, of course, you can check out our stuff, just as we were plugging earlier in the show, at novodayproductions.com. You can follow us at _Novo_day, and day is DE, and of course at Novo Day Media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the things. You know what to do. And if you'd like to sponsor our little love child or be on the show, you can do so by reaching out to us at novodaymedia@gmail.com. So until next time, you know what to do. So be good to each other, and as always, good luck and Godspeed. We love you.
Art of the Beholder is brought to you by Novo Day Productions. Created and hosted by Novo Day and the Novo Day Collective. Facebook.com/Novo Day Media, at Novo Day Media on Twitter and Instagram. Music by A Company. Facebook.com/ACOMusic123. ACO on Spotify. Logo design by Tom Justice, JESTUS, of thejusticecompany.com. And executively produced by Clayton Anderson. All rights reserved.